Hey, good evening. It's Kaylin coming here with you live tonight on Monday, April the 25th. Last week I made a video and I explained a little bit about the fact that I received a telephone call from my Pueblo explaining to me that I would be entering a process within the military called the MEB, which is short for a medical evaluation board. And that process, as many of you are probably aware, is typically the result of a condition, whether it's physical or mental, that has kept you from performing the full scope of your duties for a certain length of time, and you have gone through various treatments for that problem. Um, some of them may have not been successful at all, and then others may have been marginally successful. But in either case, it's not enough for your medical team to feel confident sending you back on full duty. So, on that last video, I was saying that my Pueblo had given me a call as a result of a conversation that my doctor and I had had back in December, where my doctor had explained that because of my knee, my left knee, and my back, which has herniation in two of my discs, along with a pinched nerve, that it was a condition that qualified for being referred to that board to be evaluated. Anyhow, on the 5th of April, my Pueblo called. She took some demographic information from me, explained to me what would occur, and that I should expect some communication from my commander within a short time. And I did hear back from my first sergeant about 4 or 5 hours after that phone call with the Pueblo, and he explained to me as well, reiterated what was happening, based on things that my doctor and my Pueblo had said. And my commander completed what is called a commander's impact statement for a medical evaluation board. So on that statement, she outlines what is happening with my medical condition and the fact that it has not allowed me to do everything that my job requires for me to do in order to be totally mission ready and to be worldwide qualified. So on this letter, which I have before me, and I won't read the whole thing to you, but I will give you a brief synopsis of some of the information that is contained on that letter that your commander will write up with impact, from your primary care manager. Of course, it has your name, has your grade and rank, your job duty title and code, and then it asks the commander questions about the impact on the mission, your medical condition. So, can you perform all of your AFSC duties? And so for the Air Force, that's your Air Force specialty code. And then for some other branches, I think the Army and the Marines, I've heard it referred to as an MOS. So your commander will state whether or not you're able to perform all of those functions. And then, again, are you able to deploy? The commander will say yes or no. And then it'll ask the commander to describe the specific duties that you're able you're not able to perform as a result of these restrictions, and um, any kind of training that it has hindered you from completing as a result of your condition, as she'll give her statement and her remarks on that. From there, um, it'll state how many times you've had to miss work as a result of this condition, how many doctor's appointments and visits you've had as a result of that, in addition to the number of referrals to outside specialists that you have had to make visits for regarding that condition. And that'll be taken into account when this information goes up before that board and they're making a decision on you and your fitness for duty. The commander will have a conversation with your PCM, and oftentimes that either the commander will make this recommendation, or they'll ask your PCM about your progression through treatment, or your primary care manager will make a call to your commander and say, look, this is where we are, this is what we have done, these are the steps we've taken, and we have not seen a great deal of improvement, so now we have reached this step of the med board. So the next part of that letter, it gets the statement from the commander on whether or not he or she has had that conversation with your primary care manager, and they'll say yes or no. They'll say yes or no, and they'll state whether or not they agree with what that primary care manager is stating regarding your condition. And so he or she will say yes or no. Yes, I agree. No, I disagree. And then there are a few other questions on the next section, and it just asks if the member has experienced or faced any kind of non-judicial punishment or administrative actions that could lead to them being discharged or separated. And it's just getting a whole makeup of what this person's career has looked like from start up to the point of this med board process. And your commander will say yes or no, and then they'll add some remarks about your attitude, your performance up to that point, and so on and so forth. And they'll ask, have you been demoted at some point throughout your career? Your commander, of course, will say yes or no as well. And do you have a approved retirement date pending? And that'll be a yes or no. And then the commander will have to answer a question concerning the deployment status when that condition began to be an issue that required you to have that profile. They'll say yes, it did, or no, it did not. And then there is a section as well for the commander's overall opinion on whether or not the member should be retained in their respective service. And it'll be either A, retain, or B, do not retain. So then the commander gives a more lengthy statement on where you are with your situation and how it has had an adverse impact on the readiness of the unit, your ability to deploy and such. And that statement from the commander essentially backs up his or her opinion on whether or not to retain you in your service. After that, the commander signs it, and then you will receive it, which my first sergeant explained to me that I would get this letter in my email to read over it and return it within an hour. So it was not very much turnaround time. I don't know why I received it on the 5th day, the day that it was actually due, but it had been received and by my command, but I wasn't aware until the day that it was due that it had even been issued to my command and that it was due back. So this could be processed with the Pueblo and such. And by the way, it was issued to my chain of command on a Friday, so that starts the clock for when that letter is due back to your command to be pushed forward. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it's every day and not every business day that is calculated in determining when this letter has to be returned. I made my remarks. I stated where or how this matter began, the various courses of treatment that I have completed and are still doing or am still doing, the success of those treatments, and the different ways that it has affected me. So my first sergeant took the letter. He read over it. I had difficulty signing it with my CAT card, so I did a wet signature, and then he texted me back later and asked me to come in and sign it in his office. But it was signed in his office. We spoke about it, and I stated that while I hate that this is the point that we've reached, I also understand where we are and why we are where we are. So I hope that I have given you a little bit of useful insight on the next step after that Pueblo makes that initial contact with you, and what the commander's impact statement for that medical evaluation board is, and the fact that it'll be reaching or going up to the AFPC since all of it is done now. And I will be keeping you updated as this progresses. And again, if you have any feedback or any kind of tips or suggestions, just leave them in the comments, and they are greatly appreciated. And I hope that this is a journey that you'll be able to complete with me, and we will see where this all goes. So once AFPC has all of this and all of my records, then we will know if it'll proceed with me being separated, going into a full medical evaluation board, or if I will return to duty with certain limitations that will be noted on that profile. So drop a comment below, and like, and if this video has been helpful, feel free to share it, and I appreciate you for your time. Have a great day.